run, two, come, let's go. I said a 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 run, two, come, let's go.
Hello everybody, welcome back. Now today on the show, we got a special guest. We got a legend. We actually got a legend coming in our presence. Now, when I say the word legend, a lot of people hand that term legend out like it's candy bars or free lunch before you go swimming. But no. You gotta earn the title of legend. The person I'm gonna introduce has fought the best, beat the best, played with the rest, and anybody that stepped up to the challenge, he didn't back down. The person I'm gonna introduce today, he used to live by his hands. He used to live by his ability and agility. He went to school. He played sports. And he took what he learned in those institutions to the streets. But today, he don't fight with his hands no more. He fight with his heart. And who he fighting for? He fighting for the youth. He fighting to help them get what they need, where they need to be, so they won't have to go through what we went through. So enough of me talking. We appreciate you, and thank you for coming. We're gonna introduce the legend, Mike Brown. Mike Brown, where did you grow up?
Well, I started out in the West End on 6th Street here on Richmond Street.
West End part of Cincinnati, Kentucky?
Cincinnati, Ohio. It's now up there where the White House out for Lynn. Then we moved to Clark Street. Then I wound up moving to Clementsville. Moved to Clementsville at the age of probably 5. Went from the 1st grade to the 4th grade at Clementsville. Then I did most of my majority growing up in Mount Auburn. I moved to Mount Auburn, wound up going to Taft Elementary, then I went to Cutter Junior High School, then I went to Hughes High School.
Now, you said you resided in Mount Auburn, but you kicked it in the West End, right?
Yeah, I was born on Clark Street. Lived my first 5 years down in the West End. Then we moved to Clementsville. Then I moved to Mount Auburn, so I did most of my growing up in Mount Auburn, but during that time I was doing a lot of time down in the West End, playing sports for them.
Now back then, if you was from Mount Auburn, was a lot of people allowed to go to the West End, or was it some smoke?
Oh, it was smoke. You had to be special. Couldn't walk to no other neighborhood. If you had a girlfriend in another neighborhood, you better take 4 or 5 of your friends and hope she can hook them up with some of her lady friends. But no, you had to really earn that respect to be able to go into another neighborhood.
So tell us how you earned your respect.
Well, I was living in Mount Auburn, and I went down there, and I think I was in the 5th grade. I'm playing football for the 9th Street Y, Mr. Watts. And I was the only one that was from Mount Auburn. Everybody was down there from Lincoln Courts, Richmond Village, Stanley Road. And I ran into this person they called Reggie Myers. Didn't know nothing about Reggie, never heard of him. But I know that a lot of people down there at early grade were scared of him. And he was not a bully, but a guy that always wanted to challenge you. And we wind up getting into it. And I ain't gonna say I got out on him, I ain't gonna say he got out on me, but the bottom line is that they went and got their brothers and everybody came back around them. The bottom line is that me and Reggie got into the fight. I ain't gonna say that I got out on him, he got out on me, but they ran around there and got his brothers. Next thing I know, I'm surrounded by 10 guys, and Skipper Skipper Myers comes in the back and looks at me and says, "Oh, is that the only guy y'all talking about?" And left me alone from that day on. And I wound up becoming good friends. Me and Reggie became partners. Wound up playing football down there. and just got to grow and became a part of that community.
Now, you mentioned Reggie Myers giving you your accolades or giving you your pass with what you earned your pass to come to his hood. Who is this person, Reggie Myers? Like to us, it's like you somebody that's not from here. Who is Reggie Myers? So what, Reggie? Who is Reggie Myers?
Reggie Myers was an athlete. He was a fighter, and he had dug his ways like we all did. And he just chose to be that way. You know.
Was he a beast?
Reputation. He was a beast. Reggie was a beast. Reputation, well looked up. If you from the streets, he would be one of the guys. He was a street guy's hero because of the things that he was doing. Not only because of what he was doing, he was talking and talking. He was walking and talking. So you know, it's a lot of things that I can say that Reggie did that maybe a lot of people didn't like, but he didn't pick on no punks. He went after those that thought they were just like him. So I had to respect it when it came to that.
So Reggie Myers, so basically Reggie Myers was a beast.
Yeah, he was a beast in his own little way. As a young age kid at that time, he was way mature than a lot of these guys, and he was into more, I'm gonna say he jumped off the porch real early.
Now, you say he was a beast in the street. Was he just fighting, or was, not to get into like overly details, was he fighting, shooting, going to jail, cutting, just extorting?
No, he ain't never used no gun. He got his reputation by using his hands. You know. So it wasn't even about him not earning what he did. He earned what he did. You know, like I said, he was fighting guys that could grumble, that thought they was their best in their community. You know, and if you throw that name out in my generation, everybody know who you're talking about. They call him Gusco. You know, now. You know, and I would say that we've been knowing each other about 40, 50 years now.
Now, 40, 50 years. In that 40, 50 years, it's also another legend out here who a lot of people had a lot of respect for. But I heard a story. The story that I heard was he was on the 3rd floor taking a shower. And his girl told him that the dude he was beefing with was downstairs on the block. He wanted to get dudes so bad, he jumped out the 3rd floor window instead of taking the steps to whoop this nigga.
Now who's this guy?
Kurt Bell.
Yeah, well, Kurt Bell was a young fella that grew up with me, basically my little brother. Our father introduced to us at the age of 11. I met Kurt and Lee, and we became like brothers, and we still the best of friends now. And Kurt was one of them guys that wasn't no troublemaker, but he would give you trouble, you know. But you know, later on in life, people get into their little ways and things happen, and you know, it just took him to a different level. You know, he went to a different level with it, and a lot of people are glad that he's saved right now. That God has changed his life because, you know how we get sometimes when things go wrong, and we get it on drugs, and we got the habit. There wasn't nothing gonna stop him from getting what he wanted. Just put it that way.
Right. Now, he said he looked up to you. Out of everybody who he could choose to look up to be a beast, he looked up to you. That means that you must have been a beast.
Well, I ain't gonna say all that, but I am gonna say this. I think that I represented my community real well, because back then, reputation was very important. And guys that came up behind you, they was looking for leadership because you had to groom the guys behind you in your neighborhood to be prepared to fight these guys. I hate to say it, from Walnut Hills, downtown, over the Rhine. That's just how the world was back then. We didn't shoot, we rumbled. And so every time I went to fight, when I won, they was happy. You know, they was cheering for me. But see, you don't know these things till later on in life that a person like that was looking up to you. So when I tell people about that situation, it's hard for them to believe that I really not turned him out, but I really put him in that path of what I'm trying to say, becoming who he was, as far as a fighter and what he could do.
Right. Now, give us one story. Now, don't say a name. Don't say no name. Can you tell us a story? I heard a story actually by you. This guy that was talking so much smack. And he said when he see you, what he was going to do, this and that. And when you seen him, he was running around the car like a chicken with his head cut off. And then you made him take shirt off or whatever.
Yeah,
Tell us that story.
I
What
could
happened?
tell you
How it
that
start?
story.
How it
Where
start?
it
Don't say the
started,
name though.
I was at the gym, you know, just hanging out in my normal spot. And this guy, I guess he supposed to be in the dope boy bouncers or whatever. And, you know, just, you know, I know he'd never done anything, but I know he had selfish ways. I would try to use people up and everything. So one day we sitting down, they drinking beer, and I'm sitting down there next to them. The police come down the street, and he puts his beer behind me. But during that time, I got stuff on me that I shouldn't have on me, and I get mad when I see the beer behind me because I felt like he was trying to set me up or try to get me caught. So I threw the beer on the ground. He jumps up, I'm gonna do this and that to you, you know. He kind of had me a little nervous for a minute because everybody telling me he could rumble. Next thing I know, we fighting, and I really was gonna try to strip him all the way butt naked. I couldn't get anything, but I got his shirt off and there. But then he started running. I had him running around the car for about 20 minutes, and the whole crowd came outside, and they was laughing at him. So to make a long story short, at the end, I used to come down, and he would break off running every time he see me. So I asked the dope fiends, do y'all want me to leave him alone? And they told me, no, keep beating him up. Because of what he has done was doing to them, I guess. So, you know, that's just one of the stories that I could tell because they had hyped this guy up so tough that he really had everybody scared of him.
So I heard another story about some other dude trying you as far as when you was doing you was at work. So kind of tell us about that. Well, it was outside though, right?
It's outside, and you know, I'm like this, you know. I'm in my 60s now. I'm 64, be 65 in February. So this happened about 4 years ago. So this guy was younger than me. So I'm doing work outside, and I had to block this certain area off where I couldn't let nobody come through. So he came up and telling me he gonna come through, and I'm this and that, F me and all that, cuss me out and all that. So I told him, bro, you can say what you're gonna say, just don't come through and mess up what we doing for our job. Well, he took it upon himself just to bust through and just walk on in. And cuss me out to my nigga, don't you never tell me what I should do and all that. And so, you know, we sit there and rumble, and you know, I hate to say it, I smashed it. You know, I mean, I still had kind of hard to let it go, but at that time, I had to do it because that's the only way he could understand, you know, that language. You know, sometimes you just can't talk to people. When you're dealing with people from the streets, they only understand one thing. Either you got to cuss them out or you got to put your hands on them.